back to Local Edition, coming to you from Sacramento, joined by State Senator Connie Leyva, as well as Assemblywoman Eloise Gomez-Reyes. And we were talking about the tragedies that have befallen on San Bernardino, but hope springs eternal. And you are working on a bill to try to address the scourge of domestic violence. The most recent tragedy was a domestic violence incident in North Park Elementary. Tell us about, I'm surprised we even need a bill like this, but I guess we do. AB 1268, a domestic violence prevention fund.
I think it's getting the money. I think we have lots of organizations within San Bernardino County that are willing to help domestic violence victims. They want to teach the children. I understand there are programs even in middle school, how to spot someone who may become someone who's going to violate you. But I think that having a bill, it's just having a vehicle so that we can then have the funding available so that the organizations can then continue to do what they're doing.
And that's the key, because you essentially said it. There's money for the victims, but we want to prevent people from being victims.
That's right.
And so this bill literally would provide funding for prevention efforts.
Yes.
It's a fairly simple, straightforward approach. And like you said, start in the junior high schools.
Yes.
That's right.
Because we need to teach respect.
Yes.
And what's appropriate behavior.
What does a healthy relationship look like?
And let's talk about that, because you worked with Senator Hannah-Beth Jackson, I think it was last session, on a bill dealing with healthy relationships.
Yes. So I had a bill the year before that got on healthy relationships that was held in Senate Appropriations. Last year I co-authored Senator Hannah-Beth Jackson's bill on healthy relationships. People learn what they live, and unfortunately young people may be in a situation where mom and dad aren't nice to each other. So when this young person goes into their relationship, their first, second, or third, they think that's what a relationship looks like. So starting it in junior high. This Eloise's bill that will give the funding is critically important for all of our society. And how do we treat each other properly?
I have to tell you, I don't remember being taught how to be a husband.
Right.
I don't. And you know, God bless my parents. I love them. They're probably watching. Times were tough in the in the 70s and 80s. You know, I didn't come from tremendous wealth, and they were scrapping it together, and so my parents are children of immigrants, and so it's tricky. And so I honor the mere thought of trying to teach appropriate, healthy behavior.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll keep doing it until we get it right.
And so you continue to work together outside of the campaign arena. So you've had countless events that you've held.
What, 5 months
5, 6 months in.
5 months.
Earned income tax credit, a coffee, a citizenship fair, young women's leadership, sports recognition, home ownership, another coffee, a grant writing workshop. You know, I know you're frickin' frack, but you know, what makes you feel as if 2 is better than 1 when you hold these types of events?
I think what I really like, especially about the coffees, is that the constituents can hear from both of us. We're both in Sacramento. We're both working together. We're both working on bills together. If there's something on the Senate side that I can promote, Eloise can promote it on the Assembly side, and vice versa. And I just think it's wonderful for constituents to see that we both work together on their behalf.
So when you have these coffees, and I'm talking to 2 members representing the Inland Empire, and I really want to emphasize that, what are the concerns of the Inland Empire?
Everything.
Everything, well stated. But let's consider the blessings of the Inland Empire and the challenges of the Inland Empire. The blessings being wonderful schools and UCR and Cal State San Bernardino and all that. The challenges, the recession, home ownership, foreclosures.
Yes.
Well, one of the issues that came up at one of the coffees was mental health. And they said mental health isn't something, it's not one size fits all. There's mental health issues that affect our veterans, our LGBTQ community, our foster youth. And Connie and I looked at each other, we said, we need a conference on this.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of putting together a conference specifically on mental health.
I want to talk about communities of color, because when we were growing up in the olden days, the Inland Empire was not particularly diverse. Today it is a rich panoply of diversity. A lot of the diversity comes from friends and neighbors who are of Latino descent. And it's hard to deny that right now there are many in the Latino community that are a bit spooked
Sure.
about what's happening in Washington and otherwise. Do you hear that at your coffees?
We do, and we sat down and talked with Sheriff McMahon about immigration.
San Bernardino County Sheriff McMahon.
Thank you, and making sure that they weren't going to enforce what ICE is doing, and it was really a wonderful conversation.
It was.
And then, we've had immigration hearings, immigration events, with little cards that we
Citizenship.
hand out, citizenship fair, so that we can talk to our immigrant community. Mostly what we try to let them know is we're very happy that we're here, and we welcome them, that they are the fabric of our society.
And I believe that that's what they're hearing and feeling, especially from their immediate neighbors like yourselves. But the rhetoric from Washington,
Yes.
and again, I'm just repeating, I'm not taking a position, it can be a bit inflammatory towards those that may lack documentation. So even if your constituents have documentation, their aunt may not,
Right.
their grandmother may not.
And we're hearing all of that. I think
Right.
Eloise has some
Yes.
very good stories.
Please.
And then not only with our immigrant community, also our Muslim brothers and
Yes.
sisters. Because when we hear also the rhetoric against, or the rhetoric on the ban against Muslims, that affects our community as well. And so we've had to do, also had to do some work in that regard.
And I appreciate you bringing up the Muslim community, because I remember at the vigil
Yes.
at the 66 Stadium, when we looked out into the audience, we saw countless members of the Muslim community, and we knew that because many of the women were in hijab.
Yeah.
So for them to feel comfortable enough
Yes.
to come to the vigil, in light of the fact that we knew that the perpetrators had been Islamic radicals, that says a lot about both them and the community,
Yes.
that they were welcomed. So how do you continue to try to create this welcoming environment in light of kind of the mixed messages we're receiving?
I think we keep doing it by the actions that we've done when we saw some of our Muslim brothers and sisters at the Democratic Convention this weekend.
Right.
We both spoke at the Arab caucus. So we can do a lot. I like to call it the bully pulpit, and making sure that we're saying the right things and the right things are being said to the community so that they know that we feel welcome and set the example for others in the community.
As we look towards the rest of this session, what is the dynamic duo focusing upon for 2017-18?
I don't think we've gotten that far yet.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
going to keep focusing on getting our bills out
Right.
and helping the community.
But is there anything in the IE, like for example, the VLF fee? That was a big
Yes.
issue for the IE, where the 4 new cities in the IE were not getting funded through VLF.
Right.
Resolved.
Yeah. Done.
So anything else like that? That's warehouses or anything going on that you need to focus? Maybe not, and that's okay if the answer is no.
No.
Yeah.
The warehouses are a big issue.
Right.
Pollutants, both indirect and direct contaminant pollutants
Right.
are a big issue in the environment or for the community.
Right.
And jobs, we don't want to
Right.
just have warehouse low-paying jobs. We want to make sure they're good jobs. Some of the logistics
Right.
jobs are very good.
Right.
But there's not a lack of work to do in the Inland Empire.
And I think what's clear to the community is that just as they work together, after the December 2nd attack, after the April 17th attack at North Park, the community works together. I think it's refreshing for them to see that their representatives also work together.
And it's been refreshing to be with you over these last 20 minutes. What a big treat for me and for our audience. We have been speaking with Assemblywoman Eloise Gomez-Reyes, as well as State Senator Connie Leyva. My name is Brad Pomerance, coming to you from Sacramento on Local Edition.